Close your eyes for a second and just listen to the sound of your own environment. Maybe it's the hum of a refrigerator, the distant buzz of an air conditioner, or the subtle click of a heater kicking on. Right now, in this very moment, you are warm. You're so comfortable that you probably haven't given a single thought to the temperature of the air around you in hours. There's a tiny little box on your wall with a digital number on it, and the second the world gets a little too chilly, a massive, invisible infrastructure springs to life to keep your skin at exactly the temperature you like. You move from a climate-controlled house, to a heated car, to a heated office. And honestly, the brutal winter we complain about is usually just the 15 seconds it takes to run from the front door to the driveway. For us, winter is an inconvenience. It's a dead car battery, it's scraping ice off a windshield, or it's being annoyed that Netflix is buffering while it's snowing outside. But I want to take you back, way back. I want you to imagine a world where winter wasn't an inconvenience. Imagine a world where winter was a calculated, cold-blooded killer that hunted you for 4 months straight. For 99% of human history, winter didn't just happen to you, it tried to erase you. It came at your ancestors from every single direction at once, testing every limit of their bodies, their minds, and their souls. So how on earth are you sitting here today? How did a bunch of hairless, tropical apes with no claws and no fur survive the freaking Ice Age? The answer isn't just luck. It's the most incredible survival story ever told, and it's the reason you're alive to hear it. Let's dive into how our ancestors actually beat the cold when the world was trying its absolute hardest to freeze them out. First, we have to talk about the sheer audacity of the human body. Let's be real for a second. Biologically speaking, we are one of the worst designed animals for cold weather. We're basically tropical fruit in a walk-in freezer. If you look at the evolutionary record, our bodies are fine-tuned for the heat of the African savanna. We have thin skin, we sweat to stay cool, and we have almost zero natural insulation. If you put a naked human in a 40-degree environment, hypothermia starts setting in within hours. Your brain starts to fog, your fingers lose their grip, and eventually, your heart just says, "I'm out." Every other animal in the north had a head start. The woolly mammoth had layers of fat and shaggy fur. The wolves had thick coats and high-octane metabolisms. And then there were us, skinny, shivering, and completely out of our element. Yet, for some reason, about 45,000 years ago, our ancestors looked at the massive encroaching glaciers of the north and said, "Yeah, let's go that way." They didn't just stumble into the cold, they walked into it on purpose. This is where the first great invention comes in. Most people think it's fire, but fire has a massive flaw. It stays where you put it. You can't take a campfire with you on a mammoth hunt. The moment you walk 5 feet away from the flames, the Siberian wind is right back in your face, stealing your body heat. To truly conquer the North, we didn't just need fire. We needed a way to wear the fire. We needed to invent a portable climate. And that leads us to what I honestly believe is the most underrated piece of technology in human history: the needle. Now, I know what you're thinking. A needle? Really? But listen, before the needle, humans were basically just draping animal skins over their shoulders like a poorly fitted blanket. It's better than nothing, sure, but in a real Arctic blast, better than nothing is just a slow way to die. Wind gets in through the gaps, the skin slips off when you run, and your arms are constantly exposed. But then, somewhere around 40,000 years ago, someone had a genius idea. They took a tiny sliver of bone, ground it down until it was sharp, and painstakingly drilled a microscopic hole in the end. This was the birth of tailored clothing. For the first time, we could cut hides into specific shapes and sew them together. We made sleeves, we made boots, we made hoods. We created a layer of trapped warm air that stayed against our skin no matter where we moved. If you find a bone needle in an archaeological site, you're not just looking at a sewing tool. You're looking at the reason humans were able to inhabit Siberia. We didn't grow fur. We stole it from animals that were better at surviving than we were, and then we re-engineered it to fit our bodies. This was the original techwear. By using sinew, the tough, stretchy fibers from animal legs, as thread, our ancestors created waterproof, windproof suits that allowed them to walk through landscapes that should have killed them in minutes. It's the difference between being a victim of the environment and being the master of it. But even with the best coat in the world, you eventually have to sleep. And in the depths of an Ice Age winter, the ground itself is a heat thief. You can't just lay down in the snow. Now, caves are the classic caveman trope, but here's the secret archaeologists won't always tell you. There aren't actually that many good caves. A dry, safe, defensible cave was like a 5-star penthouse in the Paleolithic, extremely rare, and probably already occupied by a very cranky cave bear. So what do you do when there's no wood for miles because the landscape is a frozen tundra and there are no caves? You build your own reality. In places like Mezhyrich in Ukraine, we've found the most metal houses ever conceived. Since there were no trees, these people used the only building material they had in abundance: mammoth bones. Imagine a dome-shaped hut made from the jawbones, tusks, and skulls of dozens of mammoths. We're talking about 20 tons of bone for a single house. They used the massive tusks to create arched doorways and layered the jawbones like shingles to deflect the wind. But they didn't stop there. They lined the floors with thick mats of woven grass and hides to stop the permafrost from sucking the warmth out of their bodies. They even used sod or blocks of earth and snow as insulation. If you've ever been in an igloo, you know that snow is actually an incredible insulator because it's full of trapped air. Our ancestors turned the very snow that was trying to freeze them into a wall of protection. Inside those bone huts, with a small controlled fire, it might have been 60 degrees while it was -40 outside. That is a 100-degree temperature swing created by nothing but human ingenuity. Now, let's talk about the math of survival. Even if you're warm and even if you have a house, you still have to eat. And in winter, the grocery store of nature is completely closed. The berries are gone, the roots are buried under 3 feet of frozen soil, the deer have migrated south. For a hunter-gatherer, winter is a caloric bankruptcy. You are burning twice as much energy just to keep your heart beating in the cold, but there's almost zero food coming in. This is where humans became master chemists and logisticians. We learned that lean meat isn't enough. In the winter, fat is literally gold. We invented ways to preserve every single calorie. We dried meat over smoke to kill bacteria, pulling the moisture out so it wouldn't rot. We discovered that the frozen ground was a natural freezer. We dug permafrost pits to store meat for months. But the real secret weapon was something called tallow, or rendered fat. By boiling down animal fat and mixing it with dried protein, our ancestors created the original energy bar. It was dense, it was portable, and it provided the massive blast of calories needed to fuel a body through a blizzard. They weren't just eating to stay full, they were fueling a biological furnace. Every hunt in the autumn was a race against time. If you didn't have a savings account of fat and dried meat by the first snowfall, your family's story ended in February. The pressure of winter forced us to become planners. We had to think 6 months into the future just to stay alive today. However, there is one winter killer that doesn't care about your coat or your food. It's the one that attacks your mind: the darkness. If you go far enough north during the winter, the sun basically gives up. You might get 4 hours of weak gray twilight and then 16 hours of pitch black, soul-crushing night. When you're trapped in a small Mammoth-Bone hut with the same 10 people for months on end, with the wind howling like a dying god outside, the isolation can break you. But this is where the most beautiful part of the human story happens. Our ancestors didn't just sit in the dark and shiver, they filled the darkness. The long winter nights became workshop season. This was the time for repairing tools, for carving intricate ivory figurines, for sewing the next generation's clothing. But more importantly, it was story season. Around that central fire, the elders would pass down the history of the tribe, the myths of the stars, and the secrets of the hunt. This is where human culture was forged. Language became more complex because we had nothing to do but talk. Music, art, and religion were the shields we used to fight off the madness of the long night. We turned a period of waiting into a period of creation. We didn't just survive the winter, we used the winter to become more human. The bonds formed in those cramped, smoky huts are the reason we are such social animals today. We needed each other to stay sane until the sun came back.
When you look at the big picture, it's almost overwhelming. Winter was the ultimate filter. It was a brutal, unforgiving test that our species had to pass every single year for 100,000 years. And every time we passed it, we came out stronger. The cold pushed us to invent tailoring. The lack of shelter pushed us to invent architecture. The hunger pushed us to invent food preservation. And the darkness pushed us to invent culture. We are the descendants of the survivors, the ones who were smart enough, tough enough, and creative enough to look at a glacier and say, I can beat that. So, the next time you're annoyed that your car is cold or that you have to walk through a parking lot in the snow, just take a second to remember your ancestors. Think about the person sitting in a hut made of mammoth skulls 20,000 years ago, stitching a hide together by the light of a tiny fat lamp, wondering if the spring would ever come. They did the hard work so that we could have the luxury of being bored by the cold. We didn't just beat the winter, we let the winter make us who we are. And honestly, that's a pretty incredible reason to appreciate the heat coming out of your vents tonight. Stay warm, stay curious, and never forget where you came from.